The flames swallowed the paper in seconds, curling the edges, turning years of legal security into nothing but ash. Marcus stood over the fireplace, his hands in his pockets, watching my inheritance burn like it was the most satisfying thing he'd ever seen. I could see it in his eyes, that twisted, smug sense of power. He thought he had just won, that this was the moment I'd break, that the sight of my inheritance, the thing my late grandfather left solely to me, turning into nothing but cinders, would be enough to send me into a begging, helpless wreck. But instead of sobbing, pleading, or screaming, I leaned back in my chair, took a slow, deliberate sip of my wine and smiled. "You absolute idiot." Marcus's smirk faltered, just a fraction, but it was enough. My name is Victoria Hayes, and at 29, I just witnessed the most calculated betrayal of my life. But while Marcus is likely savoring his so-called triumph, picturing me shattered, broken, and begging for mercy, I'm not crying. He thinks he's won, that I'm powerless, that I'll hand over my inheritance like a naive little fool. But Marcus has no idea who he's dealing with, because while he was scheming, burning what he thought was my only leverage, I was already 3 steps ahead. And now, he's about to learn that betraying me was the most expensive mistake of his life. Betrayal doesn't start with fire, it starts with a whisper. A flicker, a tiny, nagging instinct in the back of your head. For me, it started with a bank statement. I was in Marcus's office, looking for a misplaced bill, when I saw his financial records on the desk. At first, nothing looked unusual, until I spotted a transaction for $200,000. The money had been transferred to an unknown account. Not to an investment, not to a mortgage, not to a business deal. To himself. My stomach twisted. Marcus had always lived large, but this wasn't reckless spending. This was theft. And then came the second red flag. A text message. My phone buzzed, and I glanced down. A message from an unknown number. "I hope you're being careful, Victoria. You're not the only one with a claim to your money." I stared at the screen, my heartbeat steady, my mind racing. I knew what this meant. Marcus wasn't just spending money behind my back, he was planning something. But instead of confronting him, I picked up my phone, called my lawyer, Sarah, and got to work. The moment I stepped into the dining room, I knew it was a setup. Marcus had invited James and Rebecca, his financial advisor and his wife. James had the charm of a used car salesman, and Rebecca, she had the forced smile of someone who already knew the outcome of this evening. "Victoria," Marcus said smoothly, pouring wine into my glass. I let him. "We have something important to discuss," he continued, sliding an envelope across the table. I didn't touch it. "Open it," James encouraged. I lifted the envelope, slid out the legal documents, and let out a slow, humorless laugh. A contract. A legal transfer of $500,000 to Marcus's business, which, as I knew all too well, was nothing more than a failing venture drowning in debt. "Let me guess," I mused, swirling my wine. "If I don't sign, I'm the bad guy, right?" "Victoria," James cut in smoothly, "this is about smart financial planning. You wouldn't have this inheritance without Marcus's guidance." "His guidance?" I repeated, arching a brow. Marcus reached for my hand, faux affection dripping from his touch. "Baby," he murmured, "this is for us." I held his gaze. "You mean, for you?" Marcus's smile tightened. I exhaled slowly, pretending to consider it. Then with an easy smile, I said, "No." Marcus's entire demeanor changed. The charm vanished, the mask slipped, and in its place, pure, unfiltered rage. "You don't get to say no," he spat, standing up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. James and Rebecca exchanged a glance. They weren't expecting resistance. Marcus grabbed the contract, marched to the fireplace, and before I could blink, threw it into the flames. The room went silent. My supposed inheritance papers, the proof of my $2 million fortune, burned. Marcus turned to me, waiting for my reaction. Waiting for fear, for panic, for submission. Instead, I leaned back, crossed my legs, and smirked. "You absolute idiot." Marcus blinked. "What did you just say?" I stood up slowly, walking toward him, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. "You burned a decoy," I said, tilting my head. His nostrils flared. "You're lying." I shrugged, pulling out my phone. "Am I?" And then I turned to James. "You might want to check your email." James frowned, pulling out his phone. A few seconds later, his expression went ghost white. You sent this to the authorities," he choked out. I gave him a slow, deliberate smile. "Oops," Rebecca gasped. Marcus snapped. "You bitch!" He lunged for me. Big mistake. I sidestepped easily, sending him stumbling into the fireplace. "You thought you could control me," I said, voice like ice. Marcus clutched the mantelpiece, panting. "You thought you could burn my future." I leaned in, lowering my voice to a whisper. "But sweetheart, you just set fire to your own." And with that, I grabbed my coat and walked out the door. Because tonight was only the beginning. The best revenge isn't loud. It isn't a heated argument, a broken dish, or a moment of blind fury. No, the best revenge is calculated, methodical, a game played in silence while your enemy still thinks they're winning. Marcus believed he was untouchable, that I would crumble, that I would have nowhere to go. But what he didn't know was this. I had already started planning his downfall before he even made his first move. Marcus thought that burning my inheritance documents erased my wealth. What he didn't realize, those papers were a decoy. The real documents, sealed, certified, and safely stored in my attorney's office months ago. I watched him gloat that night, standing over the fireplace, smirking like a king who had just conquered his last enemy. I let him believe he won, because I needed him to feel untouchable. That's the mistake all men like him make. They never see it coming. Marcus's entire business empire was a house of cards. He flaunted his wealth, played the part of a self-made entrepreneur, and loved to remind everyone how much hard work got him to where he was. The truth? It was my money that kept him afloat. The expensive suits, my inheritance, the luxury apartment, my name on the lease. His company, built on shady loans and a financial time bomb waiting to explode. And now, I was going to pull the plug. I spent the next 2 weeks quietly cutting off every safety net he had. First, I froze our joint accounts. I had already transferred my savings into a private account months before, ensuring that the only money Marcus had access to was his own, and his was running dry. Then I contacted his investors. Marcus had them fooled. Up until now. I set up discreet meetings, carefully releasing just enough evidence of his mismanagement to make them panic. Within days, his investors started pulling out. Marcus didn't know it yet, but his company was bleeding money, and soon it would collapse completely. Marcus prided himself on his connections, the powerful friends, the prestigious clients, the people who shook his hand and told him he was destined for greatness. But people like Marcus, they only have allies when they have power. The moment that power cracks, they scatter like rats from a sinking ship. So I made sure those cracks started to show. At the next high-profile charity gala, one that Marcus desperately needed to maintain his influence, I had my lawyer, Sarah, make her move. She accidentally let slip to a few key people that Marcus was under financial investigation, that his company was on the verge of collapse, that there were whispers of fraudulent transactions. By the time Marcus arrived, ready to charm and network, he found cold stares and whispered conversations. His so-called friends? They were already distancing themselves. His business partners avoiding his calls. The walls were closing in. And Marcus? He still had no idea I was the one tightening the noose. Desperation makes people reckless. And Marcus, he was spiraling. I watched as he frantically tried to fix the damage. He started making erratic business deals, borrowing money from questionable sources, trying to secure last-minute investors. All I had to do? Sit back and let him destroy himself. And when the time was right, I'd strike the final blow. 2 weeks after Marcus burned my inheritance, I found him at his lowest. He was sitting in our apartment, his suit rumpled, a half-empty glass of whiskey in his hand, his phone buzzing with calls he refused to answer. The air was thick with tension. His desperation was palpable. "Victoria," he started, running a hand through his hair. "I think we should talk." I hid my smile behind my wine glass. "Oh? About what?" He hesitated. I may have made some mistakes. Mistakes? This man stole from me, lied to me, tried to destroy my future, and now, when the walls were caving in, he wanted to talk. I set my glass down and leaned in, my voice calm. "Marcus," I murmured, "what exactly do you think is happening right now?" His jaw tightened. "You froze the accounts, didn't you?" he accused. I didn't answer. You turned my investors against me, he spat, gripping his whiskey glass like it was the only thing keeping him together. Still, I stayed silent. The realization sank in. And finally, he whispered the one question he should have asked a long time ago. How long have you been planning this? I leaned back, crossing my legs, my lips curving into a smirk. Longer than you think, darling. Marcus is running out of time. His money, gone. His allies, gone. His company, moments away from collapse. And now, I just need to wait for the perfect moment to end him completely. Because the thing about playing with fire is that eventually you get burned. And Marcus, he's about to go up in flames. Marcus still thinks he's on top. That's the beauty of men like him. They're blind to their own downfall. He walks around like nothing has changed, flashing that arrogant smirk, shaking hands, pretending the world still belongs to him. But behind that facade, I see the cracks. I see the tension in his shoulders, the forced laughter at business meetings, the way he checks his phone a little too often, waiting for a call that will never come. He's scrambling, trying to patch the sinking ship with duct tape, and I'm the one drilling the holes. Marcus is an expert at deception. He doesn't just lie, he crafts realities. He steps into a room and suddenly he's the most important man there. The kind of man who thrives under pressure, who makes power moves, who always comes out on top. Even now, as everything crumbles beneath him, he still plays the part, still holds his whiskey glass with confidence, still flashes his winning smile at investors who are already second-guessing him. He doesn't know that they're just humoring him now. They're watching, waiting, ready to abandon ship the moment the water reaches their ankles. And me? I'm letting him believe they're still on his side. That's the best part of a slow burn destruction. They never see it coming until it's too late. Marcus throws one final dinner party. It's his last desperate attempt to prove that he's still in control. The guest list is filled with high-profile investors, corporate CEOs, and people whose approval he desperately needs. He's been putting on a show all week, spinning new lies to cover old ones. The temporary financial setbacks are just a market shift. We're expanding soon. New investors are lining up. The rumors, baseless. My company is stronger than ever. It's all smoke and mirrors. And tonight, I get to watch him choke on the illusion he's built. I walk into the party fashionably late because Marcus expects me to stay away. He assumes I'm home, licking my wounds, regretting everything. Instead, I arrive in a sleek black dress, flawless, calm, untouchable. Heads turn, conversations pause, because people are starting to wonder about me. They know Marcus burned my inheritance papers. They know I should have been destroyed. So why am I still standing? I don't have to say a word. My presence alone plants the seed of doubt. Marcus sees me, and for the briefest second, he freezes. A flicker of confusion, of something resembling unease. But then, the arrogance kicks back in. He strides over with that smug grin, drink in hand. "Victoria," he says smoothly, his voice dripping with artificial charm. "Didn't expect to see you here." I tilt my head, sipping my champagne. "Did you think I'd just disappear?" He chuckles. "I assumed you'd be adjusting to your new reality." "Funny," I muse, my eyes scanning the room. "I thought the same about you." For the first time, a shadow of uncertainty passes over his face. Just for a second, but I catch it. And I smile, because I know something he doesn't. This isn't his party, it's his funeral. As the night drags on, the illusion starts to break. Investors whisper behind Marcus's back, business partners exchange glances. I hear fragments of their conversations. "Did you see the stock dip? He lost another investor this morning." Rumors say he's in serious financial trouble. And then, the final blow. A powerful investor, Mr. Calloway, finally confronts him. "Marcus," he says, swirling his bourbon, "rumors are flying about your company. Investors are pulling out. Tell me, is there something we should know?" Marcus laughs it off. "Rumors are just that, rumors. The company is thriving." Calloway raises an eyebrow. "Then explain why your biggest financial backer withdrew last week." Silence. Marcus's jaw clenches. I see his confidence waver. He wasn't expecting this. Not tonight, not in front of these people. He tries to recover, to charm his way out of it, but no one is buying it anymore. I sip my champagne, watching the realization settle in his eyes. They're starting to turn on him. His empire isn't just crumbling, it's already collapsed. He just hasn't hit the ground yet. Marcus excuses himself, disappearing onto the balcony for air. And I follow. I find him gripping the railing, his fingers white-knuckled. He's losing control, he knows it. "You look stressed," I say, stepping beside him. He exhales sharply, not looking at me. "Congratulations," he mutters. "You ruined me." I fake innocence. "Me? Marcus, I've done nothing but watch." He turns to me, his mask finally slipping. "You planned this," he hisses. "You set me up." I just smile. "All I did was step aside and let you destroy yourself." The truth stings. He knows I'm right. Because Marcus's downfall didn't happen because of me. It happened because of his own arrogance. I just made sure he had no way out. Marcus walks back inside, but the damage is done. The whispers are growing louder, his investors are backing away, his closest allies are watching him drown. And tomorrow, everything will come crashing down. He just doesn't know it yet. But he will. Oh, he will. Part 4, the plan is activated. They begin to fall. Marcus doesn't know it yet, but this is the beginning of the end. His empire, already hollow. His reputation hanging by a thread. And me, I'm the one holding the scissors. I don't need to destroy Marcus with a single dramatic blow. No, that would be too easy, too merciful. Instead, I apply pressure from every possible angle, tightening the walls around him inch by inch until he suffocates under his own weight. First, the financials. Marcus doesn't realize how many key investors I've already turned against him. I don't need to tell them outright to drop him. I simply plant the right doubts. Did you hear about the discrepancies in his accounts? A little birdie mentioned that his company is struggling to keep liquidity. You might want to check his latest filings. I hear there are irregularities. Businessmen hate uncertainty. They don't need proof to start running, just a reason to doubt. And now, doubt is spreading like wildfire. Marcus built his reputation on one thing: control. The illusion that he's always 3 steps ahead, that nothing rattles him, that he can turn any setback into a win. But now, he's slipping. Investors are calling him, demanding answers. Journalists are sniffing around, asking questions about inconsistencies in his financials. And me? I make sure those whispers get louder. I call in a favor from an old acquaintance, a well-respected financial analyst with a massive following. She posts an objective review of Marcus's company, concerning patterns in recent filings, leadership facing internal struggles. Investors should be cautious before committing further capital. It's subtle. Not an accusation, just a suggestion. But in the world of business, a suggestion is all it takes to start a mass exodus. By the time Marcus sees it, it's too late. His inbox is flooded. His phone won't stop ringing. And the worst part? He has no answers. The night before the biggest investor meeting of his career, I arranged for a special delivery to be sent to his office, an envelope. Inside, printouts of every lie he's ever told, receipts, forged documents, emails where he manipulated numbers to inflate his company's worth, every single dirty trick he thought was buried, and just as he's processing it, his assistant rushes in. "Sir, there's a problem." He looks up. "What problem?" She hesitates. "Your name is trending, and not in a good way." Marcus grabs his phone and opens Twitter, and there it is, a leaked report, detailing his financial mismanagement, his fraud, his impending collapse. The hashtag, Marcus exposed. Within an hour, it's everywhere. By lunchtime, news outlets are picking it up. By evening, his investors are pulling out one by one. And tomorrow, Marcus will wake up to find that his company's stock has tanked overnight. The Marcus I see now is not the man I once knew, the confident, untouchable businessman gone. In his place, a desperate man, a drowning man, a man watching everything he built turn to ash. He tries to call in favors, but the powerful don't back failures. He tries to reassure his board, but they see the truth in the numbers. He even tries to fix things privately, calling me in a last-ditch effort to negotiate. As if I'd ever give him the satisfaction. Marcus still doesn't understand the full extent of his downfall. But he's about to, because while he's scrambling to put out the fires in his company, I've been working on something else. His personal life. Marcus always had a dirty little secret, and now it's time to bring it to light. I meet with an old friend, a journalist who thrives on breaking scandalous stories. I hand her a folder. Inside, every dark little detail Marcus thought he had buried. His offshore accounts, his illegal transactions, his affairs, his secret backdoor dealings. The real Marcus Hayes. By the next morning, the headline reads, "Exclusive, the fraud behind Marcus Hayes. A fall from power. The public eats it up. It spreads faster than fire. His business allies, they drop him like dead weight. His personal connections, they scramble to distance themselves. His once loyal supporters, silent. And Marcus? He's watching his entire world collapse in real time. Marcus thinks it can't get any worse. He's wrong, because I've saved the worst for last. His last chance at survival was securing a major investor deal. The one that could have bailed him out. The one that would have given him just enough breathing room to regroup. And just as he's sitting in that high-stakes meeting, his final hope hanging by a thread, the doors swing open, a legal representative walks in. "Mr. Hayes, we need to speak with you immediately. It concerns certain fraudulent activities." The room falls into stunned silence. The investors, they've seen enough. The deal is dead. And Marcus, for the first time in his life, he has no way out. No more tricks, no more lies, nothing. Just the cold, hard realization that he lost. And I won. Marcus burned my inheritance papers, thinking it would destroy me, but now I've burned his entire empire. He stole my future, so I stole everything he ever built. His company, his money, his power, gone. And the best part? He did it all to himself. Because I didn't lie, cheat, or manipulate. I just let the truth catch up to him. And now, Marcus Hayes is nothing but a cautionary tale, a ghost of the man he once was, while I walk away stronger than ever, untouchable, unstoppable, unbreakable. Marcus Hayes is finished. But I'm not satisfied yet, because I don't just want him to lose, I want him to understand, to feel with every fiber of his being what it means to have the world turn against him, to wake up every morning knowing he burned his own future to the ground, to finally see me standing over the ashes, the woman he thought he could destroy, and today he gets his final lesson. The call comes exactly 4:37 p.m. I'm sitting in my new office, the empire he tried to steal from me now thriving under my leadership. My assistant enters holding my phone. It's Marcus. I smirk. Right on time. I take the call. "Victoria." His voice is nothing like before. Gone is the arrogant, self-assured man who once played mind games with me. Now, he sounds hollow. Desperate, I say nothing. I want him to fill the silence with his own misery. "I need to talk to you." "Please." I take a slow sip of my wine. "About what, Marcus?" He exhales shakily. I imagine his hands trembling, his mind racing for some way out. "You know what? You set me up. You took everything, the company, my contacts, my credibility. You destroyed me." I let his words settle, let them fester. Then, finally, I respond. "No, Marcus, you destroyed yourself." He sucks in a sharp breath. He wasn't expecting that. He thought I'd gloat, mock him, throw his downfall in his face, but the truth? He isn't worth my rage anymore, because I won a long time ago. Marcus tries one last time. "I know I messed up, Victoria, but you and I, we were good once, weren't we?" I almost laugh. The audacity. "You don't get to rewrite history, Marcus. His voice breaks. "I just need another chance." "Oh, Marcus, you think this is about a second chance. This is about consequences. You made your choice," I say, my voice smooth as silk. "Now you get to live with it." Silence. I picture him sitting alone in the luxury cars. Repossessed. The high-profile contacts, gone. The investors, they've moved on. All that remains is him, drowning in the wreckage of his own arrogance. "Victoria, please." A whisper. A pathetic, dying gasp of a man who used to believe he was invincible. I tilt my head. "You know what's funny, Marcus?" I murmur. He doesn't respond. I almost feel sorry for you. Then, before he can say another word, I hang up. And just like that, Marcus Hayes disappears from my life forever. Marcus tries to rebuild. He reaches out to old allies. They won't even return his calls. He tries to land a job in another city. His reputation follows him. He attempts one last desperate move, selling his version of the story to the media. Betrayed by the woman he loved. The downfall of Marcus Hayes. No one buys it. The world doesn't care about his sob story. They love a downfall, and his is legendary. Eventually, Marcus disappears. Some say he left the country, others say he's drowning in legal troubles. Me? I don't care. Because Marcus Hayes is nothing more than a footnote in my story now, and I've never been more powerful. I stand at the rooftop of my company, the empire that Marcus tried to steal from me. The wind brushes against my skin, and for the first time in years, I feel truly free. My assistant hands me the latest financial report. Record-breaking profits, new investors, global expansion. Everything Marcus thought he was destined for. It's mine now. I sip my wine, scrolling through the latest headline, The Unstoppable Rise of Victoria Hayes. A slow smile spreads across my lips. They're right, I wasn't destroyed. I won. And the best part? Marcus was never even a worthy opponent. Checkmate. The world will tell you to forgive and move on. But sometimes, the best revenge is proving you were always stronger. Never let betrayal define you. Never let them think they broke you. And most importantly, never ever let them believe they won. Because in the end, the strongest always rise. And I was born to win. Betrayal is a defining moment in life. It shakes you, breaks you, and forces you to look at yourself in a way you never have before. But what separates those who fall from those who rise is how they respond to it. iStory is not just about revenge, it's about self-reinvention. It's about refusing to let someone else's deception dictate the course of her life. It's about taking control, rebuilding, and emerging stronger than ever. And in many ways, this is a lesson that applies to everyone. When someone you trust turns against you, it can feel like the ground beneath you has collapsed. The immediate reaction is often pain, confusion, and the urge to seek revenge. But here's the truth: betrayal is an opportunity to prove your strength. I know collapse under the weight of Marcus's deceit. Instead, she used it as fuel. I understood that crying over what was lost wouldn't change anything, but taking control of her destiny would. Whether it's a relationship betrayal, a friend's disloyalty, or a business partner's deception, understand that your power lies in how you react. Instead of wasting energy dwelling on the betrayal, channel it into growth. Take that class, start that business, move forward in a way that makes them realize they were never essential to your success. Many people react to betrayal impulsively. They scream, they argue, they demand explanations. But what does that really accomplish? I didn't act out of anger, I acted out of strategy. I waited, I planned. I watched Marcus dig his own grave before her final move. When faced with betrayal, don't let emotions dictate your decision. Instead, think logically. What is the best way to protect myself? If someone tries to sabotage you, step back and analyze. Is there a smarter way to turn this situation around? Stay calm, stay sharp, and make your next move count.